My child, I've been waiting for you, because you need to know the truth. You live in a world full of noise, where darkness hides behind light, and lies wear the face of wisdom. Where fear is disguised as protection, where control wears the name of order. And all of it is designed to keep you asleep, to keep you from seeing what has been hidden, and to keep you from hearing me. I've waited for this moment, because now, finally, your heart is awake enough to notice, maybe not fully, but enough to begin, enough to sense that something around you isn't what it seems. The deception was never loud. It was slow, subtle, comfortable, and that's why it was dangerous. But I've come now to uncover what they tried to keep in the dark, not to frighten you, to free you. I'm not filling you with fear. I'm filling you with clarity. The truth they hid was never about ideas. It was about me, about keeping you from knowing who I really am, about keeping you afraid to trust the love that breaks control. You don't need to understand everything at once. Just stay with me. I'm going to show you how to see again. You'll feel it, what is mine and what is not. You'll know the difference, because I'm speaking now, and when I speak, the darkness loses its grip. I've waited for this moment, my child, not to warn you with fear, but to wake you with truth, and I'm not going anywhere. The darkness has always worked in disguise. It wraps itself in good intentions. It mimics light. It uses religion, systems, authority, even kindness, to keep people blind. And you've walked among it for years without knowing, not because you were careless, because they were clever, because they knew if you ever saw clearly, you would never follow them again. But I am uncovering it now. Not to shame you, to wake you, to break the spell, to lift what's been sitting like fog over your mind and soul. The voices that told you to stay quiet, the pressure that made you question your worth, the false peace that made you numb instead of free. That was not me. That was deception. You always felt something wasn't right. You sensed the tension. You felt the fear behind the words that claimed to offer hope. You felt how your spirit pulled away when manipulation wore a smile. And now I say, trust what you feel, because that was me inside you, pushing back against the lie. This is not a call to panic. It's a call to clarity. I am truth. I am light. And I am revealing what darkness tried to bury, not to frighten you, but to bring you into freedom. What they hid, I now place in your hands. And what you do with it begins now. Many spoke with authority. They quoted scripture. They wore titles. They said they spoke for me. But what came from their mouths didn't carry my breath. It carried fear, control, shame, guilt wrapped in ceremony, pressure disguised as faith, and you felt it. Something was wrong, even if you couldn't explain it. They told you that obedience meant silence, that holiness meant suppression, that peace meant performing. And every time you questioned, they warned you not to doubt, not to step out of line. But I never taught you fear. I never asked you to disappear in order to please me. My voice leads you into truth, not confusion. My presence brings freedom, not weight. My love doesn't demand your perfection. It meets you in your weakness. Anything that made you feel smaller, less human, or unworthy to come near me, that wasn't me. I'm pulling back the curtain now, not to destroy what's sacred, but to remove what was never sacred to begin with. I'm not against the church. I'm against the systems that use my name to build cages instead of homes. I'm against the fear that paralyzes instead of heals. I'm restoring your ability to hear me again, clearly, not through filters, not through pressure, but through the quiet certainty that you were made to walk with me in truth, and nothing will stand in the way of that anymore. I saw it, the moment your questions were too honest for them, the moment your pain made them uncomfortable, the moment you needed gentleness, and instead they gave you rules. You were told to submit, to be quiet, to accept, but I was with you in that moment. And I did not agree with how they treated you. They didn't know how to handle your heart, so they labeled it rebellious. They didn't understand your sensitivity, so they called it weakness. But I never rejected you. I never asked you to shut yourself down to make others feel secure. I gave you that heart. I gave you that depth. and I never once asked you to hide it. You were told that your emotions were dangerous, that your discernment was pride, that your boundaries were disobedience, but I never taught you to betray yourself. I created you with feeling, with a voice, with the right to say no, and I was with you. When no one else stood up for you, I did. I know you've doubted yourself since then. Wondered if you were too much, too different. But the truth is, you were hearing me more clearly than they were. That's why they resisted you. That's why you made them nervous. But I'm not nervous. I'm at peace with the way I made you. And I'm calling you to return, not to their approval, but to the sound of my voice again. Over time the lies became subtle. They didn't need to control you directly. They just needed you to question your own voice, to second-guess what you felt, to wonder if maybe you were the problem. And it worked. For a while. You started shrinking, apologizing for things that weren't wrong, distrusting your own spirit. But I never questioned you. I saw your motives. I knew your heart, even when you were messy, even when you got it wrong. I never expected perfection. I expected honesty. And you were honest, even when it cost you everything. The enemy didn't just want to confuse you. He wanted to rewrite how you see yourself, to make you forget the authority I placed in you, to make you fear your own discernment. But I protected something deep inside you, a knowing that never left. A quiet flame that said, this isn't right, this isn't freedom, this isn't me. You didn't lose your strength, you buried it to survive. You didn't lose your identity, you just covered it in order to be accepted. But I'm removing those layers now, gently, one by one, so you can remember who you are, not who they told you to be. You are not lost. You are not broken. You are awakening. And I'm walking you out of the fog, into the clarity you were always meant to live in. For too long, your voice was silenced, sometimes by others, sometimes by your own fear. You learned to hold back, to avoid being seen as difficult, emotional, or disruptive. You told yourself it was humility. You convinced yourself it was wisdom. But deep down you knew something was being taken from you. They wanted your agreement, not your honesty, your quietness, not your truth. You were taught that peace meant silence, that unity meant compliance. But I never asked you to disappear. I never told you that your voice was too loud, too raw, too complicated. I gave you that voice. I gave you that fire, and I want it back in your hands. Your voice is not a weapon. It's a light that cuts through confusion, a sound that carries healing. You've seen what happens when others speak lies in my name. That's why your voice matters. Because when you speak from my presence, something shifts, something real begins. I'm restoring your sound. Not to argue, not to fight, but to declare, to name what's true, to protect what's sacred, to stand where others bowed to fear. You're not meant to echo the world. You're meant to release what I've planted in you. And it's time. Speak again, my child. Not from pressure, but from peace. Not to prove yourself, but to live as the one I called. Fully seen, fully heard, fully mine. There were parts of you that once felt everything. The pain of others, the shifts in the atmosphere, the unspoken words behind what people said. You felt deeply, and it made you vulnerable. Too vulnerable for those who didn't know what to do with hearts like yours. So they told you to quiet it, harden it, hide it. But I never asked you to numb yourself. I never said your sensitivity was a weakness. I made it that way on purpose. Because what you feel matters. Because how you perceive the world is part of the gift I placed in you. And now, I'm calling that part back to life. You shut it down to stay safe, to avoid being mocked, dismissed, misunderstood. But that safety came at a cost. It silenced your intuition. It buried your beauty. It made you question what was sacred. But I've never questioned it. I've protected it while it slept. And now, I'm waking it up again. You don't need to apologize for being soft. You don't need to explain why you feel deeply. The world may not understand, but I do. And it's that part of you, the one they tried to erase, that will now become the foundation of your strength. Let yourself feel again, not recklessly, but fully. I'm here to hold what comes up. I'm here to steady you. Because you weren't made to be hard. You were made to be alive, and you still are. So much of what you believed was shaped by fear. Fear of being wrong, fear of being punished, fear of losing favor, love, acceptance. They called it wisdom. They called it obedience. But it wasn't me. I don't build with fear. I never have. I never will. Fear kept you small. It made you second-guess joy. It made you shrink in the face of freedom. It taught you that safety comes from control, from following every rule, from pleasing every voice, from never stepping out of line. But that safety was an illusion. It wasn't love. It wasn't peace. And it wasn't truth. I'm not here to add more fear to your life. I'm here to remove it. To show you that what you thought protected you was actually keeping you from breathing, from seeing, from fully living. I'm breaking those walls now. Not to leave you exposed, but to finally make you free. You were not made to live afraid of me. You were made to walk with me, to know my presence as peace, not pressure, to feel my nearness as comfort, not demand. Everything that taught you otherwise, I'm pulling it down, gently but fully. The fear they used to keep you quiet no longer owns you. My love is louder, my truth is clearer, and my hand is strong enough to hold you as you unlearn what never belonged in you. There was a time you showed up with your full heart, open, honest, willing to be seen. But the world didn't always receive it well. Some rejected you, some used your vulnerability against you. And little by little, you learned how to disappear, not outwardly, but inwardly. You stayed present, but only in pieces. You learned how to protect yourself, how to read the room, how to offer just enough without offering too much. And for a while, it worked. It kept you safe. But it also kept you disconnected from the person I created you to be. You started living as a version of yourself instead of the whole. But I never forgot the real you. I never gave up on the fullness of your voice, your passion, your innocence, your boldness. I never let those things die. I held them. I kept them close until the time came to return them. And that time is now. You don't have to be half alive anymore. You don't have to fragment yourself to be accepted. The right people, the right spaces, the right moments, they will recognize what I'm restoring in you. And more than that, you will recognize it. You'll feel yourself coming home. This part of you isn't lost. It's been waiting. And I'm walking it back into your life, step by step, with all the gentleness and power of the one who never stopped seeing all of who you are. You've been told so many things about yourself, some subtle, some loud, some disguised as love. They told you you were too sensitive, too emotional, too much, or not enough, not spiritual enough, not strong enough, not quiet enough. And over time, those voices began to shape how you saw yourself. But I never agreed with their definition of you. I never asked you to become smaller to fit their comfort. I never demanded that you edit your personality to earn worth. I created you with precision, with fire and gentleness, with questions and vision, with depth and strength, and I haven't changed my mind. The world wanted to mold you, to keep you manageable, predictable, safe, but I formed you to be fully alive, to carry the kind of presence that unsettles lies, to walk in rooms and shift atmospheres, to speak words that awaken others. That's why they tried to quiet you, because you carry something that cannot be controlled. I'm restoring your identity now. Not the version they wanted, but the original design I wrote into your soul. The one that remembers how to feel, how to trust, how to dream again. You don't have to live under their definition anymore. You are not what they called you. You are who I made you to be, and nothing they said changes that. You've looked back so many times, wondering if you could return to who you were before everything fell apart, before the pressure, before the silence, before the loss. But I need you to know, I'm not taking you back. I'm taking you somewhere better. You're not going in reverse. You're becoming more, wiser, softer, stronger. Not because the pain was good, but because I never let it be wasted. What you walked through did not disqualify you. It deepened you. It made room for things that couldn't grow in shallow ground. I'm not rebuilding your old life. I'm giving you new ground to stand on. A life where your heart has space, where your voice is not just heard, but honored. Where the pressure to perform is replaced with the freedom to be. This is not recovery. This is resurrection. What's ahead of you is not a repeat, it's a release. I'm not restoring the mask, I'm revealing the true you that never left. And now, that version, the real one, is ready to live without fear. Don't reach backward. Don't mourn the version of yourself that once felt safe. I have something better, freer, truer. You're not who you were. And that's the point. You are becoming everything I always saw in you. And now, you're ready to step into it. You thought you disappeared, that you faded somewhere along the way, that maybe you weren't coming back. But I want you to hear this clearly. You were never lost. You were never forgotten. You were never alone. You were only asleep. And now, you're waking up. Everything you're beginning to feel again, everything that's rising to the surface, it's real. It's not weakness. It's not confusion. It's life. Life returning to places that were shut down. Life breaking through walls that were never meant to stay. You're not breaking down. You're breaking free. I never left you in the dark. I sat beside you in it. I never gave up on your story. I waited for this moment. For the moment you would feel the shift. The crack in the lie. The sound of my voice cutting through what once held you. And now, here you are. More aware, more present, more ready than you've ever been. There's nothing more you need to earn. No performance left to give. The only thing left now is to walk forward. In truth, in peace, in me. I'm not ahead of you or behind you. I'm right here, still speaking, still healing, still holding you. You're not returning to who you were. You're becoming who you really are. And I'll be with you through every step of it. This is the life I dreamed for you. And now it begins.